both on Is It Prowess? Who's going to walk away with the W? We were taking a quick look just before the matchup at the differences between the lists. And, for the most part, players will have what you expect to see in this. 4 Storm Chasers talent, 4 of Corey Steel Cutters. There's a couple things that's just like, okay, yes, auto-include. But the differences is where it's pretty interesting. For example, Wesley Hickman playing 2 copies main deck of Spell Pierce, whereas a lot of the other decks don't really care about counters until sideboard.
Right, yeah, Spell Pierce is one that you can pretty much bring any number of Spell Pierce, and it's a reasonable choice. Players are not unanimous about how strong or weak this card is in the mirror match. So, for all we know, Wesley might have 2 in his main deck and sideboard them out, whereas Alex might have 2 in his sideboard and bring them in, because this is just a card that your mileage may vary. It's how you predict the game is going to play out, whether or not you want it in your deck. And that's just one of many examples. We could talk about a million different of the fringe card choices and tell a similar story.
Also, an interesting thing you pointed out is that Wesley isn't playing any copies of Monastery Swiftspear, where we've seen plenty of players have that as their one drop of choice.
Right, so everyone agrees on the 4 Storm Chasers talents, and then you have Monastery Swiftspear, Drakehatcher, Slick Shot, Show Off. You got to have some.
Yeah.
But your mix, you can customize. Drakehatcher is a card that people perceive to be quite strong in the mirror match because of that 3rd point of toughness, in addition to other nice qualities of the card. But both of these players have 2 in their main deck, with Alex having an additional 2, the option to go up to the full 4 after sideboarding.
So Corey Steel Cutter was the turn 2 play for Alex. And then the Slick Shot Show Off has hit the board. A 1-mana spell is in hand, I would imagine. Which one, though? Okay, Torch the Tower. Take care of one of the otters. That would be in the way of the monk. So with that on the stack, does Wesley have a response here?
I think it's very likely he does, and what he has it could be a wide range. You could use Monstrous Rage to save your creature. You could use a removal spell on an opposing creature. You could Spell Pierce. A lot of options available to Wesley with that 1 mana, and let's see what, if anything, he has.
Otherwise, 5 damage coming through. Into the Floodmaw, sends back the Slick Shot. Alright, so just takes the 2 down to 18. Turn passes back. 1 otter remains. Can we find a 3rd land here? We're going to go digging. Didn't look like a land there. That looked like a Burst Lightning and something else.
Yeah, no land, but the Burst Lightning is nice because you know the Slick Shot Show Off is gonna come back down. And you pointed out earlier that that's sort of a unique case in the deck because it doesn't have actual prowess. It only pumps its power. So even if there's a flurry of action, you wind up with a 7/2 Slick Shot Show Off. Burst Lightning should still take care of it.
Pew! Like a little glass cannon.
Not so slick now. Those removal spells, these are also customizable. A couple weeks ago, it would have been all Burst Lightnings. Now people diversifying, Torch the Tower, into the Flood Maw, sometimes even other options, like I'm looking at Scorching Shot, Abrade, Lithomantic Barrage, Rebel Salvo, Witchstalker Frenzy. So, yeah, really a lot of room to round out the corners in these decks. And if you feel like you're a step ahead, you're a little bit smarter, a little bit more prepared than other people, that's a way that you can get a real advantage.
Let's see what the next iteration of this deck looks like at the next event. That'll be happening at the end of May, SCG Con Indianapolis. But it is modern, so we'll have to wait before we see what it looks like from there on out. Burst Lightning did indeed take care of the Slick Shot Show Off. 1 mana up from Wesley, And Alex having a quick think here as to where he wants that card to go before swinging in here with both monks. What's your favorite format?
A fine question. I tend to say that my favorite of the constructed formats is Legacy. That's just one that has always really resonated with me and I've had a lot of fun with. But I also really like playing Limited because it's every game is different and there's just so much to love about it. And you?
I think it's Commander, but also...
I suspected you might say that.
Yeah, it's pretty great, but also Limited. Like, that was my first love when I started playing Magic, was realizing, oh, hey, I don't have to play a constructed deck. I can just go and play something different every week. So, yeah, definitely got into that. So both players just exchanging resources here. 2 monks and a Quarry Steel Cutter for Alex, and for Wesley, an Otter and a Quarry Steel Cutter of his own. Here is Monastery Swift Spear. And follow up. What you got? You gonna bounce the thing? Nope. We are gonna make another monk. And have a pretty good attack here when it comes to it, so... 1 prowess trigger on those 2 monks, as well as the Swift Spear. And do we like the top card of the library? These kind of matchups are always really fun because you kind of have to, you're not... It's awesome to see the players picking their spots at the best time available to them. All this instant speed interaction, there's so many cool decisions to be made, especially as the games go longer, more mana's available. If they can restock their hands or stock up, then it's just like, yeah, you can have a big war on the stack, and that's always fun to see.
For sure. This one is particularly fascinating because there's all these different angles, all these different things going on in the game, and you have to choose where to put your resources. Like, for example, do I want to take a turn off to stock up and win the card advantage battle? Or do I feel like things are moving so fast that I need to put all of my mana towards impacting the board or attacking my opponent's life total? One thing that's really noticeable is that this archetype is better at attacking than blocking. But sometimes you have to block, right? Yeah. Sometimes you're going to be on the draw, or your hand's going to be a little bit awkward, and you're just not going to win the race. So then what do?
Yeah, we saw Monster's Rage on defense earlier in one of the matches that we covered, and Wesley Hickman has seen enough. Too much pressure from Alex. Too many monks on the board, and that'll be game 1 going to Alex Bianchi. Let's take a look now at the sideboards. Couple, for the most part, they consist of similar things. All trying to do the same thing, but perhaps just with a different card name. But what do you think is the most important card in the mirror?
Well, I would say Drake Hatcher and the 1-mana removal spells are the ones that basically everyone can agree are really effective and important. Then you go down to the next tier of cards where it's like they're either effective but a little bit less efficient, or they're situationally really good, which that's the category that Spell Pierce falls into. It's, you can envision amazing turns for Spell Pierce where, hey, you stock up, I'm going to Spell Pierce on a turn where I'm double spelling, or I'm setting up a big monstrous rage and I Spell Pierce your removal spell to set up lethal. These things can definitely happen. Or there's other times when you can't keep the mana open, or you draw Spell Pierce, on turn 6 when you're empty-handed, and you can't trigger Quarry Steel Cutter because you can't proactively use the Spell Pierce. So you have to kind of balance it across the range of outcomes and decide, is this a card that, all things considered, I want to be part of my game plan or not?
Well, one thing that I've noticed become even more and more important is cheap interaction. even in limited, in drafts. If you can answer
Totally.
someone's 5-mana threat for 1 mana, well, you are ahead in that exchange. So definitely going to be looking at a couple of these cheap interactive spells to be able to either A, buff your team and kill your opponent, or just, foil their plans of attack.
Yeah, you really nailed it there. If you use that framework of trading mana, like, hey, you played a slick shot show off, and I bounced it to your hand with Into the Floodmaw. If you break down that exchange, the card advantage goes in favor of the person playing the creature, because the creature's not going away, it's just in your hand. But the tempo advantage and the mana advantage is going in favor of the player who casts Into the Floodmaw. And the game can go either way, where either there's a flurry of trading and you're really happy to have the long-term card advantage, the stock-up type of game, or it could be a pure race where sometimes that tempo and mana advantage is exactly what you need.
Friends, just a reminder as the players finalize their sideboarding that if you would like to stay up to date with all the latest news, the latest MTG news and other TCGs sent directly to your inbox, then sign up for the Star City Games newsletter. You'll find out all about the latest sets, the upcoming sales, events as well. So go to starcitygames.com/newsletter. Do you think they're stressed out right now? Or are they pretty chill?
I'm sure it's all of the above. Like most of the people in the room are here because they enjoy playing.
Yeah.
At the same time, the pressure, it can span the range of like, this is fun because I'm experiencing a little bit of pressure and I really care about it and it's engaging and I'm focused. Or it can pass the tipping point where it's like, okay, this is actually unpleasant, and like I'm really like my heart's racing and I can't handle it, and that's sort of like both based on conditions and just your individual personality and experience. But I get the impression from these two that they're having fun, they're happy to be here, they're trying their hardest. So certainly I hope that's the case. I want the players to have fun and appreciate these moments, even if they are kind of high anxiety.
If they are stressed out, they're certainly not showing it. Cool, calm, and collected on the outside. I do like plenty of players' approach as, just one game at a time.
That's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, don't worry about the game you've punted lost round or the upcoming games tomorrow, because you can't do anything about those right now.
And perspective, right? What's the worst thing that could happen? You lose this game, you end your day 8-1.
Yeah, that's still
pretty
damn
nice.
good.
It's a pretty nice worst case scenario. Remember, 6 more rounds of Swiss tomorrow. Records carry over.
Yes.
We can't promise exactly what record you need for the top 8, but we're looking at the realm of that 12th win out of 15 rounds.
I don't think we've seen anyone go undefeated the entire way into the top 8. So if I can put in a request to the 8-0 players here, that would be sweet. As we are good to go. Here we go. Game number 2 of our final round for the day. This is round number 9. These are our undefeated players. We have one other undefeated player playing up against Chris Botello, who's technically undefeated at 7-0-1. Nothing's on the board yet. What is this, guys? Come on.
Yeah,
there we go.
The first spell being cast on turn 2? Are these the same decks that we were watching last game?
Unacceptable. Into the Floodmaw, bouncing the Otter. Get out of here. Storm Chaser's talent just seems like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to stick around too much longer without this tiny big enough. Because that was the whole appeal of it, right? Just to get that spell back all the time.
Yeah, exactly right. So in this deck, it's almost like a 1/1 prowess, which is fine. That's that's what you want. You want more 1-mana plays that fit with the theme of your deck. But we haven't seen a whole lot of shenanigans of people leveling up to level 2 and 3. Level 2 you see once in a while for sure.
That's usually when they don't have anything else to do, which fair, sure, get an opt or something cheap to do or get stock up back. That's kind of best case scenario at the moment with Storm Chaser's talent.
So that was a braid on the Corey Steelcutter, which you do what you got to do, but that's actually not a good exchange, right? Alex was able to kill Wesley's best card, but he's already taken 2 damage and left behind a Prowess Monk token in the exchange. So, if you do that too many times, Alex is just going to fall further and further behind.
Alex needs to get something of his own on the board. Did have a Drakehatcher, which was swiftly dealt with, courtesy of Lithomanthic Barrage from Wesley. So I would love to see this card stick around and make some Drakes, because I think it's a really cool inclusion in this list. Provided it's not getting killed. Another Corey Steelcutter now.
Another Corey Steelcutter, but no follow-up play. That's
unfortunate.
Unfortunate, strange. Makes me wonder, okay, what is Wesley holding? Could it just be a series of reactive cards like removal and permission?
Turn passes back now to Alex. Does he have land number 4 here? Doesn't seem so. So Wesley just waiting to do something. In Alex's turn here, no doubt. Or bluffing exceptionally well. All right, Drakehatcher number 2. Does this one get to sit? That looks like it. Okay. Is Wesley responding? Sure is. Into the Flood Mole, gonna bounce back the Drakehatcher, so once again, we won't see that get in an attack.
So interesting, that turn. Like, Alex thought for so long, and then he played the Drakehatcher before playing the Sleight of Hand, which makes me wonder, what's the advantage of playing the Drakehatcher first?
Yeah.
It left him open to the Spell Pierce, but then at this level of play, was it bait? Was he trying to get that result, or sequencing his cards in a very intentional way? So, I would love to get in the head of each player there, thinking through a complicated turn like that.
I would imagine Alex wants to get land 4, so if that is the case, then doing it how you suggested of, have a look at the top of the deck first, sleight of hand, see if you find a land, and then follow up with the Drake, but what do I know? They're 8-0.
Well, that's the key, is even elite players who are really successful, like, these are just challenging things, and nobody gets it all right. You just try to get as much right as you can and not make the disastrous blunders, and that gets you pretty far in tournament Magic if you can do those two things.
Yeah. A funny story. In the Denver event, when we were watching you and LSV throughout the tournament, LSV made a questionable attack, which ended up in a creature dying to a Reacher. And Paul's like, what did he do that for? And then Paul tells me afterwards, he's like, he says, I just threw away a creature because he forgot that it had reach.
Yeah, it happens,
like,
happens to the best.
It happens
all
to
the time.
Still no land 4, but stuff on the board here for Alex now. Corey Steelcutter, an Otter, and a Monk. Drakehatcher. Wow. Are they just playing the same variant of Drakehatcher?
Looks like it.
Yeah. Prowess triggers 2 spells cast and a pre-combat Monstrous Rage to get that monk token attacking as well.
Yeah, Wesley in the really desirable position of, I have a strong hand and a Corey Steelcutter, and you're tapped out. So
Catch.
I'm just going to slam. Yeah, catch. Exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Or 11? Ugh, that hurts. And no real decent blocks here, barring trading the 2 Corey Steelcutter monks. Oof. Not looking hot here for Alex in game 2. But this is kind of what you expect, you know, with Wesley being on the play, down a game. This is the one he needs to win, so.
Right. We talked about that exchange where Alex abraded the Corey Steelcutter, and that's the best you can do, you know, rather than just let it go uncontested. But it's a bad exchange, and then Wesley just had another one. So there's a lot of randomness there, and hey, Corey Steelcutter is the best card in the deck. How many are you going to have in your top 12 cards?
Yeah.
If it's 0, that's one thing. If it's 2 and I, you know, took great pains to kill the first one, you get to stick one anyway. That's kind of an uncomfortable situation for Alex to be in.
Alex now deciding how he wants to block. If this Otter's getting in on the action as well, well, it's certainly not in either way, as Into the Flood Maw will get rid of it. Some damage blocked, but there's a lot coming through now with these 2 unblocked monks.
Yeah, is it maybe 9 damage?
Yeah, that's one that's got 2 prowess triggers on it. Plus the roll and the buff from Monstrous Rage.
9 damage.
Yowza. Okay, you got any miracles on top of the library there, Alex?
Another card that's fallen a bit out of favor is Pyroclasm.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, you would see 1 or 2 copies.
That would be so good right now.
It would be good here, but it's another one that's variable in how nicely it can hit.
For sure.
By the way, Wesley at least has kept in some number of copies of Spell Pierce.
All right. So some blockers. Is that enough, though, with 4 attackers on Wesley's side of things? And doubtless some interaction in hand. Even if it's a 5th land, that's a level up. Oh, he's already on level 2. Never mind. Maybe Alex bought himself a turn.
He's doing what he can. He put a lot of toughness out there.
Yeah. 7 toughness in total. And all those creatures of prowess.
So is Wesley just on 1 freshly drawn card as the only thing in his hand?
I believe so.
So then that's a big draw. If he doesn't have a non-creature spell to cast,
He's counting.
then he doesn't really have good attacks.
Yeah. Because what? Those are 2 2s, 1 1, and a 1 3?
Yeah. He could equip the Corey Steelcutter to the 2/2 monk, but I mean 3/3 attacker is still not exceptional here.
Yeah, it's an unfavorable trade there if the monk and the Swift Spear get in the way. I think this is the slowest we've seen the Izzet players go.
Yeah, certainly seeing the post-board dynamic here is interesting because so far we've mostly seen the Izzet deck play one way, which is fast and aggressive. But here, this game started out a bit slower. You see some extra removal coming in off the sideboard, like that Lithomantic Barrage. Yeah. There's more trading. Oh, the Abrade as well. So, yeah, like just the pacing is different in these post-board games, and the players have to value different things.
All right. Getting in with everyone except for the unequipped monk. Or unenchanted monk. So... 2 blockers. Look to be going in front of the Draycatcher, perhaps.
The way Alex is lining up blocks, he's almost representing like, hey, I just think you have nothing, and I'm going to make the most profitable blocks. Go to 2, eat your creatures, and if you've drawn a blank this turn, I'm going to win this game.
Yeah. I mean, that's very likely, without card draw, without a stock up.
Yeah, so like if Wesley had drawn a non-creature card, is he attacking with the other monk? What's credibly being represented here is the question. And I like what Alex did. He guessed right. There's no non-creature spell. Yeah. So he took a big gamble. He killed off the Drake Hatchling.
Nice.
He lost nothing in the exchange.
That's a great turn for him. Let's see if he can capitalize now. Sitting at 2. It's not the greatest place to be, but maybe he can make something of it here.
And Wesley just played a land after combat.
Yeah. Whoa, stocking up. Let's find some goodies. Ooh, what was that? Into Floodmaw, I think.
Now we have this fascinating dynamic where Wesley had the fast, aggressive draw. Put his opponent down to 2. More lands, more creatures on the battlefield. But Alex, drawing out of the being stuck on mana, has this stacked hand. So if the game continues long enough where Alex can actually play the cards that he's amassed, he's for sure going to win. But Wesley has a few opportunities, a couple of Burst Lightning still in the deck, Slick Shot Show Off. If one of these comes off the top, then...
he's got to hustle.
That's right, he's got to hustle.
Got to make the most of this opportunity to 2-0 in the 9th round here of this championship. What is he going to go for here? So, the Draycatcher's currently... There's 1 prowess trigger on, right? Courtesy of stock up. Yeah. So into the Floodmaw, get rid of that guy. So no more trample. That's excellent. Equip the new monk. Turn things sideways. Except for the vigilant one, obviously. Oh, surprise blockers with that Draycatcher are so much fun. People forget about it. It's like, oh, I have 3 counters on it. Surprise! 2/2.
Yeah, so we're seeing all the good modes of Draycatcher going wide, making flying blockers. Yeah. The vigilance is key here. The 3rd point of toughness is key here. So seeing why this is an innovation that's giving prepared players an edge in the mirror.
Yeah. I love it. And if you get some Monsters Rage with it, then you get even more counters on it. Oh, it's just so much fun. I was kind of a little iffy on it at first, but yeah, in this shell, it's so good. Does Wesley need 2/1 to block?
So after all that, Alex decided to attack with only the Draycatcher.
That's fair.
So Wesley can basically chump block, which would result in preventing 3 damage and effectively trading the monk for the Drake that now doesn't get created. So it does make sense, I think, to block. He's looking for Burst Lightning, please.
Yep. He's going to ask for a 1-time from the library here for Wesley.
If he just drew a land, then he could choose to level up his talent to level 3.
Is that 6? 1, 2,
yeah,
4, 5, 6.
If his draw was an untapped land. Spire Bluff Canal, so the actual worst draw in the deck.
Yeah.
Just bar none, the worst thing he could have drawn. You feel for him a little bit.
Yeah, that's rough. Corey Steelcutter, number, what's that, 2 or 3? 2 from him, I think. And stock up. Good grief.
So I'm going to guess that Wesley has exactly 1 more draw step for exactly Burst Lightning.
Yeah.
And if not, he is probably going to die on Alex's next turn.
Yeah. That is so much power on the board now. So many extra bodies. And just getting to look at extra cards now, too. That's rough.
For what it's worth, I'm saying exactly Burst Lightning.
Yes.
But in addition, there's 8 cantrips and 4 stock ups that can find Burst Lightning. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, it's not just the 2 of. I mean, he's probably got more in the sideboard, but no, actually doesn't. So 2 Burst Lightnings, but definitely ways to find it. Not tutors per se, but pretty damn close to it. Into the Flood Maw. Monastery Swift Spear. Hell yeah. More goodies. And a Torch the Tower. Has he played the 6th land? I don't think so. I'd be tempted to keep a land here and some interaction in case of emergency.
I think he did play a land this turn because if you remember, he was stuck on 3
stuck,
for a while, and it was stock up into the 4th land, and now
yes.
5th land for this turn. And we believe next turn he'll be able to assemble some kind of lethal or devastating attack.
One would hope so, with the amount of cards he's seen. Nice, the players can have a good chuckle in the late stages of the day. Turn things sideways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's risky, but
Alex can't play around a Burst Lightning. So the thing that you really want to play around here would be, like, say, a Monstrous Rage or Storm Chaser's Talent, level it up, and Monstrous Rage. Like, these are the things that you could plausibly leave enough toughness back to survive those. But Burst Lightning, that does it.
You got it. Doesn't look like it. Importantly, though, 2 extra toughness represented by those 3 counters on the Draycatcher. So I don't think a Burst Lightning, a Monstrous Rage would get the job done. So is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Block with everything, please. Make a bird.
Yeah, so I mean, Alex probably wants to block with everything.
Yeah, just shove it in the way.
as long as it doesn't somehow cause him to lose a lethal attack on the crackback.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yep, just doing the butt check. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Can you do 13 damage? There's no way he's got 2 Monstrous Rages, right?
No, he just has the 1 freshly drawn card.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what could really be in question here.
Scorching Shot? That's a sorcery, isn't it?
A Braid.
Ah, okay.
Targeting Corey Steelcutter, then trade with the Drake Hatchling. So Wesley has decided to use that turn to try to reduce Alex's ability to assemble lethal, but I think, yeah, even a single spell is going to do the trick. And Alex Bianchi is our
9-0.
Maybe only 9-0
Maybe
player?
only 9-0, yeah. We'll find out from the backup match, but what an excellent way to end the day.